AITA for exposing my girlfriend after she tried to trap me with her lover's pregnancy? I'm 31 years old. I work as an operations manager for a logistics company here in Texas. Nothing fancy, but it pays well. And I have my own house, which I bought 3 years ago with a solid down payment. It's a decent 3-bedroom home in a good neighborhood with a garage big enough for my project car. Then, in March 2023, my buddy Marcus dragged me to his girlfriend's birthday party. That's where I met Camila. This girl was beautiful, legitimately stunning, with dark hair, an incredible smile, and she worked as a dental hygienist at a fancy downtown clinic. She was funny, seemed genuinely interested when I talked about my projects, and we hit it off right away. Camila seemed perfect on paper. She talked about her goals, her future plans, how she wanted kids someday, but only with the right person. First red flag that I completely ignored. She brought up marriage and kids on the third date, but I just took it as her being direct about what she wanted. Dating Camila felt easy at first. Her apartment was a basic 1-bedroom place about 20 minutes from my house. Nothing special, but it was clean and tidy. She had a whole aesthetic with plants and string lights everywhere, very Instagram-worthy. Sometimes she would cook me dinner, usually pasta or something simple, but she would make it feel special with candles and soft music in the background. By May, we were officially a couple. She started leaving things at my place, a toothbrush here, some clothes there. The normal progression of a relationship. My friends liked her, though Marcus's girlfriend, Nadia, once commented that Camila seemed a little intense about our relationship. I brushed it off. I figured Nadia was just being protective. Her exact words were, "She's moving really fast, don't you think?" We were at a barbecue at Marcus's house, and Camila had just run to the store. Nadia was helping me get drinks out of the cooler when she said it. I asked what she meant, and she just shrugged. She said something about how Camila talked about our future like we'd been together for years instead of months. She said it reminded her of a friend of hers who got stuck with a guy who turned out to be extremely controlling. Still, the summer of 2023 was great. We went to a few concerts, took a weekend trip to Austin, and spent a lot of time just hanging out at my house. She would sometimes mention wanting to live together, which seemed fast, but not insane. We had been together for 4 months. I told her that maybe after a year we could talk about it, that I wanted to make sure we were solid first. That's when the first weird thing happened. She started having anxiety attacks every time I mentioned taking things slow. We could be having a normal conversation about relationship timelines, and suddenly she would start hyperventilating, crying, and saying she couldn't breathe. The first time, it scared the hell out of me. I almost called 911. She calmed down after about 10 minutes and apologized. She said she had anxiety issues from a past relationship where she was strung along for years. These attacks became a pattern. Every time I put the brakes on something she wanted, boom, panic attack. She wanted to meet my parents after 3 months. I said, maybe we should wait. Attack. She wanted a key to my house. I said, let's hold off. Attack. She wanted to talk about moving in together. I suggested waiting for the 1-year mark. You can guess what happened. Attack. The attacks were always the same. She'd start breathing fast, clutching her chest, and saying it felt like the walls were closing in. She would cry, apologize, and say she didn't want to be like this, that her ex gave her abandonment issues, and she just needed reassurance. Like an idiot, I would comfort her, tell her everything was okay, that I wasn't going anywhere. Looking back, it was textbook manipulation, but at the time, I felt like the worst boyfriend in the world for causing her so much stress. By August, I noticed she was spending a lot more time on her phone, not in an obvious cheating way, but she'd get messages and immediately angle the screen away. She started putting passwords on everything. When I casually asked about it, she got defensive and said I was being paranoid and controlling. Then came the fake tears and the start of a panic attack. I backed off immediately. September rolled around, and we had been together for 6 months. I took her to a nice steakhouse to celebrate our half anniversary because she had mentioned wanting to go. I dropped like $200 on dinner. She seemed happy, but distracted all night. She kept checking her phone under the table. When I asked if everything was okay, she snapped at me. She said she was fine and then immediately apologized, blaming it on work stress. October was when everything changed. It was a Tuesday night. I was in the garage finishing up an oil change on the Mustang when she came out looking pale, completely white. She stood there for a minute without saying anything, just staring at me. "Eli, we need to talk." I slid out from under the car, wiping grease from my hands. "What's up?" She took a deep breath. "I'm pregnant." Tom literally stood still. We had been careful, very careful. I always used protection. She claimed to be on birth control. For both to fail seemed impossible, but there she was, holding a pregnancy test with 2 pink lines. My first thought was, holy crap. The second was trying to figure out how it happened. The third was wondering why she seemed more nervous than happy. Most women I knew who got pregnant by their boyfriends were either excited or scared, but hopeful. Camila looked like she'd been caught doing something wrong. "Are you sure?" "I took 3 tests, all positive." I should have been happy. I want a kid someday. Camila and I had talked about it, but something in my gut twisted. The timing was off. We had literally just had a conversation the week before about not moving in together yet, and now suddenly we were having a baby. How many weeks? The tests don't say exactly, but probably like 6 weeks. I'm going to make a doctor's appointment. 6 weeks. I did the math. That put us in early September, right around when she started acting weird with her phone. But I pushed that thought away because what kind of human garbage thinks their pregnant girlfriend is lying? She started crying, saying she knew it wasn't planned, that she was scared I'd leave her, that she would understand if I wasn't ready. Then came the hyperventilating, the chest clutching, the panic attack. I spent the next hour holding her, telling her it would be okay, that we would figure it out together, that I wasn't going anywhere. Looking back, that was the moment I should have known something was deeply wrong. But by then, I was conditioned. Every time I had a doubt or a question, she'd have an attack, and I'd feel guilty for even thinking negative thoughts. The next morning, she was already talking about moving in. She said it made no sense to keep 2 places if we were having a baby together. She said her lease was up in 2 months anyway. She said it would be better for the baby if we were living together when it was born. She painted this picture of us as a family, how cute the nursery would be in my spare room, and how we'd eventually turn the 3rd bedroom into a playroom. I agreed, but I told her I wanted to get a doctor's appointment set up first just to confirm everything and make sure she was okay. She got weird about it. She said she'd make the appointment herself, that she didn't need me controlling her pregnancy already. Then she caught herself, apologized, and blamed it on hormones. 2 days later, she showed me a screenshot of an appointment confirmation for the following Tuesday. She said I could come if I wanted. I told her of course I wanted to be there. She smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. That weekend, she started moving things into my house, and this time it wasn't just clothes. We're talking furniture, kitchenware, decorations. She basically moved herself in without me fully agreeing to it. When I mentioned that maybe we should have talked about the logistics more first, she started crying. She said she thought I wanted this. Classic manipulation. I told her it was fine, that I was just surprised by how fast everything was moving. The doctor's appointment came. The night before, she told me she had called, and they said only the patient was allowed in for the first visit. Something about COVID policies still being in effect. It sounded bogus, but I didn't push it. Red flag number 8,000. But who's counting? She went to the appointment alone and came back with paperwork saying she was 8 weeks pregnant, not 6 like she had originally said. 8. I asked to see the ultrasound pictures. She said they hadn't done one yet, that it was too early. Again, it sounded weird, but I'm not a pregnancy expert. Over the next few weeks, Camila completely took over my house, rearranging furniture, starting to pick out paint colors for the nursery, signing us up for parenting magazines, and joining mom groups on Facebook. She would spend hours on the phone talking about baby stuff, showing me cribs and strollers that cost more than my monthly mortgage. But here's the weird part. She didn't act pregnant. At all. No morning sickness, no food cravings or aversions, no fatigue, nothing. When I mentioned it casually, she said every pregnancy is different, that she was just one of the lucky ones who didn't get sick. Then she'd find some article online about women having easy first trimesters and show it to me as proof. November was when I started to get suspicious. We were at Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' house. My mom, who had 4 kids, was asking Camila questions about her symptoms. Camila gave vague answers and contradicted herself on dates and details. My mom didn't say anything at the time, but she pulled me aside later when Camila was in the bathroom. Something isn't adding up, Eli. What do you mean? I don't know. There's just something off about her story. The dates, the symptoms, the way she talks about everything. Just be careful. Mom, she's pregnant. I saw the paperwork. Paperwork can be forged, honey. I told my mom she was being paranoid, that she just didn't like Camila because she wasn't the person she pictured me ending up with. But that conversation planted a seed of doubt that never went away. December rolled around, and Camila started talking about getting married before the baby was born. She said she didn't want to be an unmarried mother, that it was important to her. I told her we should focus on the baby first and talk about marriage later. Panic attack. 2 hours of crying and hyperventilating. Me apologizing and saying we'd talk about it. She started leaving wedding magazines around the house. She'd show me Pinterest boards she'd made with themes and colors. She'd mention how a friend of hers just got engaged and what a gorgeous ring it was. The hints weren't subtle, they were sledgehammers. On Christmas Eve, my buddy Marcus came over to help me install some new speakers in the Mustang. Camila had gone to visit her mom for the day. Marcus and I were in the garage when he brought it up. Dude, I've got to ask, are you sure about all this? What are you talking about? The baby, her moving in, all of it. It just happened so fast. Life moves fast sometimes. Yeah, but Nadia said something the other day. She said Camila told a friend she was going to lock you down before you realized you could do better. I went completely still. She said that. That's what Nadia's friend says. Look, I don't want to start drama, but Nadia has been weird about Camila from the beginning, and now I'm wondering if she was seeing something we weren't. We didn't finish installing the speakers that day. I went inside and sat in the kitchen, staring at nothing. My mom's warning, Marcus's comment, Nadia's concerns from months ago, all the little red flags I'd been ignoring hit me all at once. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. When Camila got back from her mom's and went to take a shower, I went through her purse, found her wallet, took out her health insurance card, and looked up her doctor's office online. I called the next morning, claiming to be her husband and wanting to confirm her appointment time for the following week. The receptionist sounded confused. She said they had no appointment scheduled for a Camila Dalton. She said they didn't even have a patient named Camila Dalton. My blood ran cold. I hung up and immediately went back to the paperwork she had shown me. I found the pregnancy confirmation document. It looked legit at first glance, but when I looked closer, I noticed the doctor's name at the bottom didn't match any doctor at that practice. I did a Google search. The doctor listed on the paper didn't exist. She had faked the whole thing. I sat there for probably an hour just trying to process it. The fake pregnancy, the emotional manipulation, moving into my house. It had all been a con to trap me. The question was, why? And more importantly, what the hell was I supposed to do now? I could have confronted her right then. I could have thrown her out, but something told me there was more to this story. If she went to this much trouble to fake a pregnancy, there had to be a reason. I decided to play along while I figured out what was really going on. That week, I started paying attention to everything. Where she went, who she talked to, what she did on her phone. I wasn't trying to be a stalker. I was trying to understand what kind of scheme I'd walked into. On New Year's Eve, Camila said she wasn't feeling well and wanted to stay in. She told me to go to Marcus's party without her. I almost didn't go, but then I realized this might be my only chance to do some investigating without her knowing. I told her I'd stay with her. She insisted I go out and have fun. She said she was just going to sleep anyway. It seemed weird, but I agreed. I left at 8 p.m., drove to Marcus's house, waited 30 minutes, and then drove back home. Her car was gone. I parked down the street and waited. Around 10 p.m., she pulled back in. She wasn't alone. A guy got out of her car. They stood talking in my driveway for about 5 minutes before he kissed her. It wasn't a friendly kiss. It was a full-on make-out session right there in my driveway. Then he left, and she walked into the house like nothing had happened. I sat in my truck for another hour, trying to wrap my head around what I'd just seen. The pieces started clicking into place. The fake pregnancy, the emotional manipulation, the rush to move in and get married. She was trying to trap me while she was seeing someone else. But why? Why go to all that trouble? I drove to Marcus's party. I walked in looking like I'd seen a ghost. I pulled him aside and told him everything. The fake pregnancy, the guy in my driveway, all of it. Nadia overheard and came over. Oh my God, Nadia said. Camila has been seeing Gavin for like 2 years. He's married. It all clicked. Camila was the other woman trying to secure a backup plan. She knew Gavin wasn't going to leave his wife, so she needed someone stable, someone with a house, someone who would take care of her, someone dumb enough to fall for her lies. That someone was me. Marcus and Nadia offered to let me stay at their place. They said to pack her stuff and change the locks that night. But I had a better idea. If Camila wanted to play a game, I could play too, and I was going to make sure I won. I got home around 2 a.m. She was asleep in my bed. I lay down next to her and stared at the ceiling, planning my next move. The next morning, New Year's Day, I woke up and acted completely normal. I told Camila I had a great time at the party. I asked her how she was feeling. She said her morning sickness had been terrible. I nodded and told her I'd make her breakfast. For the next week, I was the perfect boyfriend, attentive, loving, excited about the baby. Meanwhile, I was documenting everything. Every time she left the house, I checked her car's GPS history using an app one had set up months ago when I let her borrow my truck. Every place she went, I wrote it down. It turned out she was meeting Gavin at a hotel about 3 times a week. Always the same one, the Marriott by the highway, real classy. I also started quietly removing my valuables from the house. Important documents, my grandmother's jewelry, anything I didn't want to deal with in a potential legal battle. I took it all to Marcus's for safekeeping. Then I called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, but one who specialized in paternity fraud. I told him everything. He laughed and said it was one of the wildest cases he'd ever heard. Here's what you need, he said. Proof that she's not pregnant, proof she's seeing someone else, and evidence that she's living in your home without contributing to expenses. I had all 3. I managed to get her to text me about the baby on multiple occasions. I documented every time she talked about being pregnant. Then I found out, through Nadia's contact, that Gavin's wife had just found out about the affair. She was about to file for divorce. Camila's plan B was falling apart. In mid-January, I made my move. I booked a surprise dinner at a nice restaurant downtown. I told Camila to get dressed up, that I wanted to celebrate us and the baby. She was thrilled. She spent 2 hours getting ready, talking about how romantic I was being. We got to the restaurant. I had booked a private room in the back. When we walked in, Camila froze. Sitting at the table were my lawyer, a process server, and a woman she had never seen before, Gavin's wife. What is this? Camila's voice was shaking. This is where you tell me the truth, I said calmly, starting with whose baby it really is. Her face went white, then red, then white again. She tried to run, but the process server stood in front of the door. Eli, I can explain. Is there even a baby, Camila? Silence. Gavin's wife pulled out her phone and showed pictures of Camila and Gavin together. Hotel receipts, text messages where Camila was calling Gavin the love of her life. He was supposed to leave his wife, Camila said, starting to cry. He promised me, but when I told him I was pregnant, he said it wasn't his problem. So you decided it would be my problem. I didn't know what else to do. I needed someone stable, someone who would take care of us. So the baby is real. My lawyer leaned forward. Camila broke down. It's Gavin's. I'm 12 weeks along. I thought if I could get Eli to marry me before anyone found out, he would just accept it as his own. Gavin's wife let out a bitter laugh. My husband got his mistress pregnant, and she tried to pin it on some other guy. Classy. The process server handed Camila an eviction notice. She had 72 hours to vacate and remove all her belongings from my property. My lawyer handed her another document, a cease and desist order that prohibited her from contacting me or spreading false information about me being the baby's father. You can't do this. Camila was in full-blown panic now. I have nowhere to go. The baby is Gavin's problem, I said. You've been living in my house for free for 4 months, faking a pregnancy, manipulating me with fake panic attacks, and cheating on me the entire time. We're done. Please, Eli, please, I'll do anything. I love you. You don't know what love is, I said, standing up. My lawyer will be in touch about the damage deposit for the carpet you ruined and the utility bills you ran up. Everything else, you can take up with Gavin. I walked out of that restaurant feeling lighter than I had in months. Camila tried calling me about 100 times that night. I blocked her number. She showed up at my house the next day, but I had already changed the locks and installed cameras. She stood on my porch having a real panic attack this time, screaming that I couldn't do this to her. It was only about 5 minutes before the cops showed up, thanks to my new security system. They escorted her off the property with a warning for trespassing. That night, Marcus and Nadia came over with pizza and beer. We watched the security footage of Camila's meltdown like it was a comedy special. Nadia kept saying she knew something was off from the beginning. That woman tried to trap you with a baby that wasn't yours, Marcus said, shaking his head. That's a whole other level of crazy. Over the next month, I found out through the grapevine what happened to Camila. Gavin's wife filed for divorce and took him to the cleaners. Gavin wanted nothing to do with Camila or the baby. Camila moved back in with her mom and lost her job at the dental office because apparently she had been stealing supplies to sell online. The best part? She tried to sue me for emotional distress through some sketchy lawyer who sent me a threatening letter. My lawyer responded with a detailed timeline of her fraud, manipulation, and trespassing, along with a counter-threat to press charges for attempted paternity fraud. I never heard from her again. February rolled around, and I was finally starting to feel normal again. Nadia tried to set me up with her friends a few times, but I told her I was taking at least a year off from dating, maybe more. I needed time to process what the hell had just happened and how I had ignored so many red flags. The weeks after Camila's collapse were honestly therapeutic. I started going through my house room by room, erasing every trace of her. I found things hidden in the weirdest places. Her hair products in the guest bathroom, her magazines under the couch, random jewelry she'd left in my dresser drawers. It all went straight into trash bags. The spare room she had claimed as the nursery was probably the most satisfying to reclaim. She had bought all this baby gear on my dime. The crib, the changing table, the wall decorations, and she didn't even take it with her when she was kicked out. I donated it all to a women's shelter. At least someone would get to use it for a real baby and not a fake manipulation scheme. My buddy Marcus helped me repaint that room. We covered the mint green she had picked out with a nice, neutral gray. We turned it into a proper home office, with a good desk and some bookshelves. Looking at that room now, you would never know Camila had ever been in it, which was exactly how I wanted it. One night, Nadia asked me how I was doing emotionally when the three of us were hanging out. I told her the truth. I felt relieved more than anything, like I had dodged a bullet that would have destroyed my entire life. Think about it, I said. If I hadn't found out the truth, I'd be married to someone who never loved me, raising another man's kid, while she was probably still seeing Gavin behind my back. That's not just a betrayal. That's a lifetime of misery. You handled it perfectly, though, Nadia said. Most guys would have just confronted her at home, and it would have turned into a huge drama fest with no proof. She was right. If I had confronted Camila the minute I realized she was lying, she would have just denied everything and probably escalated the fake panic attacks. By having everything documented and having my lawyer present, plus Gavin's wife as a witness, there was no way for her to wiggle out of it or twist the story. Marcus also brought up something interesting. You think Gavin knows you helped his wife find out? Probably not, I said. I never contacted her directly. My lawyer did. And honestly, I don't care if Gavin knows or not. He got exactly what he deserved. It turned out Gavin lost his job about a month after everything came out. His company found out about the affair and the pregnancy and decided it was inappropriate conduct or whatever corporate jargon they used. Gavin worked in sales for a medical device company that prided itself on family values. So, having a mistress and an illegitimate child on the way was basically a career death sentence. I only found this out because my lawyer kept me updated on Gavin's financial situation, not because I cared about him personally, but because if he couldn't pay child support to Camila, there was a chance she'd try to come after me again with some modified story. My lawyer wanted to stay ahead of any potential moves, but Camila never contacted me again. According to Nadia's sources, she was too busy dealing with her own problems. Turns out, when you fake a pregnancy to trap a guy, lie to everyone, and get publicly exposed, people don't want anything to do with you. All her friends dropped her. The same ones who had been commenting on her Facebook posts about how excited they were for the baby suddenly went silent when the truth came out. Some even commented on Gavin's wife's posts, showing her support. Camila basically became a social pariah. My mom called me one night in March and said she had run into Camila at the grocery store. Camila was visibly pregnant, pushing a cart and looking miserable. Apparently, she had tried to talk to my mom, saying she missed me and that she had made a mistake. I told her she made several mistakes, my mom told me. Then I asked her when the baby was due. She said, in May. I said, that's funny, because if you two had gotten pregnant when she claimed, the baby would be due in August. She just turned pale and walked away. I love my mom. My mom also mentioned Camila had tried to play the pity card, talking about how hard the pregnancy was without a partner, how much she regretted everything, that she understood if I never wanted to speak to her again, but maybe I could help her out financially. My mom shut that down immediately. She told her I didn't know her a thing and that she should try asking Gavin for money since it was his baby. The look on her face, My mom laughed. I can't believe she didn't think I knew the whole story. The Facebook thing was actually another layer of manipulation I had forgotten about. Early on, Camila had posted cryptic statuses about unexpected blessings and building a future with the love of her life. Her friends would comment with congratulations and heart emojis. Looking back at those posts after I found out the truth made me sick to my stomach. After she was exposed, she deleted everything. Her entire Facebook page vanished, but screenshots live forever, and several people had saved her posts. At first to show support, and later as evidence when the truth came out. The internet really is forever, and Camila learned that the hard way. The last I heard, Camila had the baby in May, a boy. Gavin signed the birth certificate, but was fighting the child support order. Camila was living with her mom and working at some retail store because no dental office in the area would hire her after what happened. Did I feel bad? Not at all. She tried to trap me with another man's child, faked medical conditions to manipulate me, and literally invaded my life with lies. The panic attacks were fake. The pregnancy was a lie. Her entire personality probably was too. But an interesting thing happened about 3 months after the baby was born. I was at the gym one night, going through my usual routine, when a guy approached me. An older guy, maybe in his late 50s. He looked familiar, but I couldn't place him. You're Eli, right? The one who dated Camila Dalton. I immediately got defensive. Who's asking? I'm Camila's father. Can we talk for a minute? This is going to be good, I thought. He was probably here to try to guilt me into helping with the baby or some nonsense. I told him he had 5 minutes, and we stepped out into the parking lot. Look, he said, I'm not here to defend what my daughter did. I just wanted to apologize on behalf of our family. That caught me off guard. Apologize? Camila's mother and I had no idea what she was doing until it all blew up. We thought she was really pregnant with your child, that you two were building a life together. When the truth came out, he trailed off, shaking his head. We were horrified. We raised her better than that. He went on to explain that Camila had always been manipulative, even as a teenager. Little lies that grew into bigger ones, relationships where she would play the victim when things didn't go her way, but they'd never seen her do something this calculated. The panic attacks, I said, did she really have anxiety? He looked uncomfortable. She was diagnosed with generalized anxiety when she was 16. But the attacks you describe, that sounds more like what she used to do in high school when she wanted to get out of a test or going somewhere she didn't want to go. She could turn them on and off like a light switch. So even the anxiety diagnosis was weaponized. That's what hit me the hardest. She had taken a real medical condition and turned it into a tool for manipulation. Every time I tried to set a boundary or slow things down, she would fake an attack to make me feel guilty, and it worked every single time until I found out what she was really doing. Camila's dad handed me an envelope. Inside was a check for $5,000. What's this? A reimbursement, he said. For the utilities, the food, everything she cost you while living in your house. It's not much, but it's something. My wife and I couldn't live with ourselves knowing our daughter stole from you. I tried to give it back. You don't have to do this. Yes, we do. Please, take it. Consider it an apology and a way for us to sleep at night. I took the check. We talked for a few more minutes. He told me Gavin wasn't paying child support consistently, that Camila was struggling, the baby was constantly crying, and she seemed overwhelmed. He and his wife were helping as much as they could, but it was hard watching their daughter face the consequences of her own actions. Before he left, he said something that stuck with me. You dodged a bullet, son. If you had married her, you'd be living my nightmare. Take that check and do something good with it. Move on with your life. I deposited that check the next day and used it to upgrade my home gym. I bought a nice power rack, quality weights, and a new bench. Every time I worked out after that, I thought about how close I came to losing everything. Looking back, absolutely everything about her was designed to trap me as quickly as possible before I realized what was happening. The marriage talk on the third date, the love bombing, the anxiety attacks whenever I tried to slow down, moving in without a real agreement. It was all calculated. Nadia told me later that apparently, Camila had pulled this before with another guy 2 years prior. Faked a pregnancy to get him to propose. He found out before the wedding and left her. That was probably when she met Gavin and thought she had found her meal ticket. To anyone reading this who thinks their partner might be pulling something similar, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. If someone is rushing you into major life decisions, Ask yourself why. If they can't handle you setting reasonable boundaries without having a meltdown, that's not anxiety, that's control. Don't be like me and waste 6 months of your life on someone who only saw you as a backup plan. You deserve better than that. We all do. And if you're Camila and you're somehow reading this, I hope Gavin is paying that child support. You've earned it. Peace out. Time to finish the coffee table I'm building. At least Wood doesn't lie to you. Update. Yes, I checked the security footage. She never once had a panic attack when I wasn't around. She was perfectly fine, scrolling on her phone, watching TV, completely normal. The second I got home, if we had any sort of disagreement, boom, instant panic attack. All fake. All manipulation. Comment. I know this was an intense story, and I truly appreciate you listening all the way through. It's a powerful reminder that setting firm boundaries isn't about being unkind. It's about honoring your own self-respect. I believe we all have an inner voice, and learning to listen to it is one of the greatest skills we can develop. We can't control what others do, but we always have the power to choose how we respond and how we begin our own healing. Even in the middle of a difficult situation, I hope you never forget that there is still so much kindness and integrity in the world. Sometimes, the biggest victory isn't about winning an argument, but about reclaiming your peace. I also see how vital it is to have good people around you who recognize your worth and support you without question. Your well-being is not negotiable, and you deserve relationships built on honesty and mutual respect. So please, take care of yourself, trust your instincts, and always choose the path that leads to your own peace of mind. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.